Every once in a while I notice that the IWC will sit there and try and debate who the GOAT is for women's wrestling. And every single time, it ends in disaster. You wanna know why? Because the initiator always decides it'll be a good idea to not clarify or leave any kind of criteria beforehand that would help this conversation go smoothly. No, I'm just gonna leave this picture here of the Four Horsewomen and ask people who the GOAT is and then run away from this war zone that I created. Are we talking WWE in specific? Are we talking all promotions? This is very important information, and depending on which one you go with, you can make solid cases for different candidates. So we're about to try this again, but this time with a little bit more structure. But first of all, let me get this out the way. Because pro wrestling is not a sports league of real competitive athletic competition, you can't just look at the biggest, most popular promotion and say that that's where all the best talent are, because they're the biggest promotion. It doesn't work like that. There absolutely are top tier level talent that exists that are not in the WWE at this point in time. So when that argument comes up and I'm seeing you trying to eat that cake too, it's like, we put the fork down, kid. Because Triple Horse will gladly come out here and can't wait to tell you that he's not looking for wrestlers. He's looking for entertainers or something, and go hire an ex-cheerleader, ex-NFL player. And then when people 2 years from now aren't good in the ring, you're sitting there wondering why. So basically what I'm getting at is if a promotion is big enough to be considered, those contributions will be. Let's begin. So we're going to go ahead and actually address the horsewomen argument first, so you can see how ridiculous it actually is to even have the women's GOAT debate at this point in time anyway, assuming you are still only considering WWE. Because if you're going this route, then no matter who you pick, they're basically only renting their position for like the next 5 years tops. Like I'm currently looking at like 3 other women that are ready to squat as soon as it's not even worth talking about at this point. Basically what's happening is people are looking to dethrone the last GOATs being Trish and Lita. So let's run that matchup because most people are trying to say it's horsewomen anyway. So of the 4 horsewomen, the argument always comes down to Charlotte versus Becky, because Sasha's no longer in the WWE, and Bayley just hasn't been booked anywhere near as strong as the first 2. So for now we'll go with that. But if this was the overall pro wrestling argument, then I'm actually out of these 4 much more liking Mercedes Moné's contributions. I'm always going to respect more somebody doing it to high level in multiple big companies than to just be a pure WWE only career. But since the argument's with these 2, then let me tell you who I would pick, and probably who you should pick too if you didn't get finessed to the highest level. So one of these is a lot more manufactured, which makes it harder for me to respect. And I'm going to come over to your guys' wavelength and not prioritize in-ring, and just go for like general entertainment, character, whatever, blah blah. Even though the whole point of the 4 horsewomen was the whole fact that they were the first 4, or seen as the forefront of the new generation of women that actually could wrestle, and basically separating themselves from the Divas era and getting us past that. But anyways, my pick out of these 2 would be Becky Lynch. Peak versus peak. Peak the man, not only was that organic with the whole accident with Nia Jax, but the way how Becky handled that showed us how badass that was in the moment. That whole period was more hype than anything Charlotte's ever been handed and then force-fed to us. That being said, if you're a fan of Charlotte, that doesn't have to change. Bayley is my favorite horsewoman. But back to blondes versus redheads for a second. I also want to address this. If you're team horsewoman here, you do realize that the only way you get this free is if you die on the hill of in-ring. Because if you're normally one of those people that says in-ring doesn't matter because it's all about storytelling, then now you're giving Trish and Lita more room for argument. In fact, arguably, I think they would still have it. Relative to the times of the overall entertainment value of the product, especially in Lita's case, I don't think Charlotte or Becky are touching that. All the stuff with Lita's involvement in Team Extreme, to later on with Matt and Edge going at it with her involvement. That was real life drama they were playing off there, which made it more hype. But anyways, on to the real topic of this video. It seems people want to stick to tradition of the 4 horsewomen, so I seen it being asked recently, who are the current generation 4 horsewomen? So basically what they mean is like the next big 4 that are creeping up into that spot to be like the future, or hold the torches when Charlotte, Becky, and Bayley aren't there anymore. So with that, horsewoman number 1, I would say clearly, is Bianca Belair. Obviously she's great in the ring. She looks the part of somebody who'd be a big deal in the women's roster, and she definitely comes off one of the most believable when it comes to, I've already said this before, but athletically, she's just a beast. She's got like the perfect blend of strength and agility at the same time when it comes to the kind of things that she's pulling off in the ring. Definitely the strongest woman right now on the roster as far as what she can lift. The only person I'm not sure about that might give her a good contest is maybe Jordan Grace. I'd have to see what she could do, but because she's another one that's out here just beasting it. So we've already seen Bianca KOD Piper Niven multiple times now, and it was to the point where I was like, I wonder when she's gonna do it to Nia Jax. That's gonna be pretty hype. They're probably gonna save it for like a WrestleMania moment or something like that. But then no, they used it on Tiffany's cash-in, which I was like, what the hell? I mean, that's kind of like low-key a waste in a way. But yeah, she could literally do her powerhouse finisher to everybody. Nobody's safe. Everybody could get it. I mean, granted, she has been using the turnbuckle for a little bit of leverage for those 2. So if she ever decides to or manages to pull one off Raw from the middle of the ring, then that would be crazy. That could be the moment right there. So yeah, Bianca Belair. Easy Horsewoman pick number 1. She's already on that trajectory. So let's talk about Horsewoman number 2. Rhea Ripley. 2023 is enough explanation right there. Like, after winning the title off of Charlotte Flair, everything else just kind of fell into place and she just rose so quickly to what I would probably call the peak of her popularity. I do think some of that heat has fallen off a little bit, but that's not to say that she can't get it back. Currently, at the time of this video, it looks like they're setting up a feud or like a little bit of a rivalry between her and Bianca, which I think will be a good idea. A long-term rivalry between these two, I think will be pretty hype, because much like Bianca, Rhea is also a beast, so it'd be a good matchup. And in my opinion, every megastar needs that one rival to make them legit. Otherwise, there's just nothing to talk about. You're just slaying everybody. So if they don't mess this up, then I guess we can just go ahead and consider this to be the women's version of Rock versus Austin. So if you smell what the EST is cooking, give me a hell, mommy. Ew. Horsewoman number 3, Io Sky. I'm just gonna tell you right now, the best in-ring of the 4. I mean, you can have your preferences, but if we're being objective, Io's just easily the best one. If you think otherwise, you're forgetting she's been nerfed in the WWE. I've seen the truth. I've seen Io outside of the company, and what she hasn't done since coming over, but can still clearly do, but just hasn't. The only weakness here, what most people would say, would be the language barrier and not being able to cut a good promo because she doesn't speak good enough English. Dog. You got women here that speak full English that can't cut a promo either, so I don't even know what we're talking about. If you ask me, the real weakness is WWE creative, but we're not going to go into all that. And I think I've said it before, but there's a lot more they could be doing to help some of their talent or to get around some of these things. Like even the absolute very obvious thing, like getting a mouthpiece for some of these women. Like you want to give a mouthpiece to Roman Reigns, but like not someone who could actually benefit. Like what? It's like nowadays they don't believe in managers, it feels like. I'm in the minority opinion here, but I want people to be able to retain their culture. Like the actual concept of world wrestling, if they put it into practice, I think could actually be pretty fun. Especially with all this traveling outside the US that they're doing lately. Imagine they did like an event or like a tour where they emulated the Olympics, but like a pro wrestling version. And you got this huge tournament with teams of wrestlers that represent their countries. And they just go at it elimination style over a period of weeks or months, cycling through different match types or whatever. It doesn't have to be anything too gimmicky, but you know, run that and add a grand storyline to it. Make it the feature program for a while because the Bloodline story was good for a while, but there's other things we could do to large scale. But yeah, I think that could be a hype concept that could work. But yeah, back on topic. As far as Io Sky goes, she's already doing pretty good career-wise. She's held the belt a couple times already, so they obviously think that she's talented enough to do it. My only criticism, like I've said before, is that the writers just get fully stumped whenever somebody who's not like, I don't know, cookie cutter to them has to have some kind of story to be told. So then they cop out and try and make like a triple threat or something and just have the champion sitting there as the third wheel while the other two talk. Like, yo, just get the managers. Yo, tag me in. I'll do it. I'll manage damage control, all of them. I'll glaze Asuka so hard, you'll have to come up with a new term. All right, picture this. Walk with me here, ready? So we all come out. So you got damage control in the middle of the ring. I'm standing front and center, and we're all dressed like the Akatsuki from Naruto. Because everybody out here cosplaying, so let's go with it. But then it's like, oh wait, why's bro got a samurai sword? I unsheath the sword, and there's a mic attached to it. Woo! Shit. And then every time I drop heat, I sheath back in the blade and I stare into the hard cam. And then production in the back plays like an Asian jingle to aid the punchline. And then when I'm done, Kairi Sane will walk up and throw down a smoke bomb. And then we all disappear into the back. Sheesh! Yo, is that cinema or what? WWE, just get the mouthpieces, shit. But moving on to our final horsewoman of the new generation wave. That spot goes to... well, it's gotta be Liv Morgan. So before I get too far into this, let me say this. I was a fan of Liv Morgan. Well, to be honest, I was a fan of Riot Squad, and I did a whole ass short series. This is a while back, but people got mad at me because I said the best, or my favorite version of Liv was the pink hair, blue tongue era of her in the Riot Squad. But to my defense, my argument was even back then, she still stood out without having to do much or say much. But mostly I was just really liking the concept of the group. But now Chemical X is doing that for me. That's outdated now because this recent stuff, this is the best she's ever been. And the character, like everything, first of all, I feel like she's not playing much of a character. I think she's just like, what's the word? I don't want to sound too creepy because Liv Morgan fans, as I was getting to, kind of don't have the best reputation as to why. Some of them in denial, I see them on Twitter. They act like she was like a god in the ring like 2 years ago or something. It's like, no, she definitely got better. And then now, because more people are switching up lately, she's been earning more people's respect. And like I said, I've always liked Liv Morgan for like just how like she carried herself and stuff like that. And she's done some like cool stunts. But in the ring, I always maintained that she wasn't necessarily bad. I just thought that it was her finisher that was throwing people off because that shit is so hard to pull off consistently because of all the variables that go into it. But anyways, shouts to Liv Morgan. Shout out to her fan base, I guess. Shout outs to all the people that think they're in a secret relationship with her, sending her money online. You're probably sending it to Logan Paul. But yeah, she's probably my top 3 favorites right now. But that being said, this has been the new Big Four of the current era, or the new Four Horsewomen of the current generation. And of course, if you disagree, drop your alternatives in the comments below, or forever hold this as facts. Tyzik Thunder.
There it is! Twist of fate! Could be thinking of high-risk offense here. On the top! The cover! 2 count. She kicks out. Or go down a different route. Intensity coming out on the handle. Pump handle coming. Exhibiting. Great escape from connects with a chip kick. Game, set, match. Trish. Shoulders are down. Two great superstars that go great together, and that win is proof. Two minds working as one in the ring to create magic. It is a beautiful thing to witness, gentlemen.